everybody. This is Draya from Dreaming of Diamonds. I'm sorry I've been a little MIA lately. I've had a lot going on. And I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys what exactly that is. It's kind of part of the reason I started my channel to begin with, is I wanted to eventually share my story and hope to help somebody. I might kind of get, stuck a little bit and lost for words because it's kind of a touchy subject for me and everything. But before we get into that, I'm working on Swan Lake from Diamond Art Club. And I know it looks a little weird over here. My A3 kind of ends here. So I covered that with parchment paper. But yeah, I've had a lot going on and I'm kind of upset. I missed all the DP-a-thon this weekend because of everything kind of going on. I logged into a couple and pretty much had to leave. But that's okay. That's what the replays are for, right? So yeah. Basically, man, I don't even know how to start this. Okay. I guess we'll get a color first. And kind of get this going. So basically, probably when my daughter just turned 18, my oldest, and before I got pregnant with her, I met her father, obviously, and once I got pregnant with her and moved out, he became extremely abusive and controlling, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on all this because I'm not exactly ready to. I have been recently diagnosed with PTSD due to the abuse, and I've been going through what they call exposure therapy for the PTSD. And long story short, my daughter wanted to meet up with her biological father, and she said basically she had some stuff she needed to get off her chest, which I completely understand. My current husband is adopting her, and that was completely her choice. We waited till she was 18, that way we did not have to fight her biological father or even notify him, really, due to the safety issues. So the plan is once her adoption was final, we were going to go, me, her, my husband, and my brother, to meet in a public place and let her get the things off her chest that she has never been able to. Well, that time came a lot sooner than we expected. The adoption is not completed yet, but the woman that he is dating contacted my daughter the other day and said, "I'm with your father, would you like to speak to your dad?" And she of course called me immediately, and I went down to her work, and her boss let her step outside, and I called him on Facebook Messenger because of course we don't need him having our numbers, and I told him that if you want to speak to her, you need to listen to her. She has some things she needs to say. And that, it was a very short period that I was on the phone with him, but just hearing his voice brought back a lot of things for me. So I've kind of been struggling with that the last few days. I don't know, I mean, I'm sure some of you have, you know, lived through abuse or a traumatic situation, but when something triggers that, it's almost like a movie plays in your head, and it's not a good movie. But so she talked to him and said what she needed to say, and then I proceeded to tell him that she, you know, she had already told him that yes, she is being adopted, but I basically said that, you know, he needs to leave us alone or there will be restraining orders filed. But yeah, so back to the beginning. When I had my daughter, for one, she was lucky to be born because the abuse started once I was pregnant, and I really expected her not to make it. Thank the Lord above she did, and she was completely healthy. Of course, the abuse got worse after she was born. And again, I'm not going to be able to go into much detail on this. For one, I'm not ready. But I wanted to share this. For one, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And the most important thing, if you are ever in this situation, get help. Tell somebody. I know it's scary. They brainwash you into thinking that if you tell, either they'll hurt your loved ones, your family, or people won't believe you, or all of the above. But tell somebody, because it won't get better. No matter how many times they apologize and tell you, oh, I'll never do it again, I love you, it's not true. If they'll hit you once, they'll hit you again. And the sooner you leave, the better. But I know it's easier said than done. I was caught up in that cycle for 3 to 4 years. And pretty much my daughter's whole life, if he found out where we were, I'd move. I'd pack up, I'd move. And that's how I felt safe. I mean, I think the whole time, the most I felt safe is when he was in prison. Because another woman actually had got past the fear and put him in jail for abusing her. I was young. I was 18, 19, 20 years old. I just wanted to get away. And I was too scared to face him on the stand. So I ran when I could. One of the instances that stands pretty present in my mind is on 9/11. I remember I was about 7 months pregnant with my daughter, and we had gotten into an argument. I couldn't even tell you what it was about. I went to get in my car, and I was going to actually drive to my parents, and I put the car in reverse, and went to look backwards to back out of the parking space. And when I turned around to look out the windshield, he had ran up my windshield and he put his foot through it. I just remember the glass coming towards me and me trying to protect my stomach so my daughter wasn't hurt. It was a lot of, whoops. It was a lot of situations like that. But yeah, I mean, I know I just started my channel and kind of went MIA there for a little bit, but when something triggers you and you have PTSD, it's kind of hard to crawl out of your mind and, you know, be a part of reality. I mean, I live probably an hour or more away from him, and he doesn't have my address, but he knows the town I'm in, and just that is enough to terrify me. Yeah, I mean, I know I'm kind of all over the place with this, but again, I kind of swept it under the rug for 17, 18 years and didn't deal with it up until now. For one, I was too scared to, and for two, I didn't exactly have the support that I needed to face this, and I do now. I have an amazing husband that would do anything for me, and I know he would keep me safe. But in your mind, still, even though you know you're safe, when something triggers you, when you've lived through something traumatic like that, you're not safe, not in your mind. And so that's kind of what I've been battling the last couple of days. And I thought about it. I was like, no, maybe I shouldn't talk about this. I don't really think I'm ready. But then it dawned on me, you know, that it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I wanted to somewhat tell my story to maybe help somebody even a little bit. And I will get into it more once I'm ready, but if you're ever caught in a situation like this and you need somebody to talk to, feel free to reach out to me. I know that sometimes it's scary to talk to the people that you're close to in your family or friends, because you're afraid that he'll find out, or you're ashamed, which you never should be. That was my problem. I was ashamed. I didn't want anybody to know. I thought that somehow it was my fault, because that's kind of how he twisted it. And it's crazy how they not only physically abuse you, but the mental abuse is sometimes even worse. It got to the point where I almost welcomed the physical abuse over the mental abuse, because the mental abuse, I mean, it's true, you know, physical wounds heal, the mental wounds, that doesn't heal as fast. And yeah, but I got out of there. I did not want my daughter to have that type of life. I did not want my daughter to grow up around that. Just the few months that she was in that home with him and I, all the arguing, it was more, you know, him screaming at me and me crying, but all the arguing and stuff, once we got out of there and moved back into my parents' house, she had night terrors really bad. She'd wake up crying. And so I was glad I got out of there when I did, because fighting around a child is horrible. It traumatizes them. And yeah, one second, I can get a drink. But yeah, she is now 18 years old. She's a senior. Very bright and beautiful girl. I will say I'm very proud of myself with her. We came from a very, very rough spot, but that child, I am so proud of her. I was not sure how, because I mean, she's battled, even though she's known the truth since she was old enough to understand and process something like that. It's still hard, you know, not having a dad there your whole life. But she's lucky. She's finally connected with somebody, that somebody being my husband, that she absolutely adores and loves, and it was 100% her choice. She wanted to be adopted by him. Even though she's 18, that's what she wanted. And so we are in the process of making that happen, but she is graduating this year. She'll be going to college next year, but she stood up to her biological father, and I was extremely proud of her because I know that had to be hard. She said the things she needed to say, and I'm hoping that it really helped, you know, take a weight off her chest, because I know that it's been hard for her, you know, during her life growing up. But yeah. Let's see, what else can I say about this? I don't even know. But I hope everybody has had an amazing weekend. I more or less felt like I just kind of needed to get on here and talk a little bit about it. I've talked to, you know, of course, my husband and a couple close friends, but I just know that when I was in that situation, especially with me being that young, I didn't think that, you know, I wasn't really educated on that, so I didn't think that that was something that just happened. That, you know, I didn't think it was as common as it was, and it's really common. I forgot what the statistics are, but it's sad how often partners abuse their partners, and it's not just women that get abused, men do too. And I was lucky enough to, you know, get out and survive, because there are several people that don't, and it's horrible. And that's why, as hard as it is, I want to somewhat talk about my story. Again, I will more in detail down the line, once I've had a little more time to deal with my abuse and, you know, be okay with it and heal. But yeah, there are several women and men that don't make it out, or get stuck in that cycle and just can't get out. But if you're ever caught in that situation, there are places you can go. There are lots of, you know, domestic violence shelters, and a lot of women that leave, I shouldn't say women, but, you know, majority of the time it is, they leave and they literally leave with what they can carry, and so they have to leave everything behind. A lot of those shelters, they have things, you know, they'll get you clothes, they'll get, you know, if you have a child, they'll get your child clothes. So don't think that you can't leave because, you know, all your stuff's there, or stuff can be replaced. You can't. Always remember that. Excuse me, got a vape. But yeah, so on a more positive note, I'm not sure who saw Sherry's live, not the DP-a-thon, but the one last Wednesday. I got called out for this face mask challenge. Wow, I can't talk today. I ordered my face mask today. So as soon as I figure out a night that I can go live, or day or time that I can go live and not be going live on top of somebody else, as soon as the face mask gets here, I guess not only will I be doing my first live, but I will be showing my face too. So thanks to Sherry, that'll be happening a lot sooner than I planned. But that's okay. I'm alright with it. Not a big deal. It sounds like it'll be fun. So, well, I'm really not sure what else to say on this topic. But again, if anybody in this situation needs help or advice, you don't even have to tell me it's you. You can say, oh, a friend of mine, whatever. Don't hesitate to message me. I know it's a scary situation, but if I can help, I'm more than willing to. Because nobody should ever have to live in that situation. Nobody should ever have to fear for their life. And I don't wish that on anybody. I hope that nobody listening to this is living that life. Because it's horrible. It's not... I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And I'll be honest, you know, when I first started watching Sherry and she started telling about her, you know, her stories and stuff, that was one of the things that, you know, connected me with her is, I don't know what it is, but sometimes hearing somebody else's story, you connect through the trauma that you live through in life, and it almost helps you just to hear and know that you're not alone and that other people have lived through similar things, because sometimes when you live through stuff like that, you really do feel alone. You feel like, you know, there's nobody out there that'll understand, when there is more people than you could even imagine. But I think I will end this with that, and I will get another WIP and Chat up in the next few days, a little more positive than this, but I did want to do this with it being Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Always remember that you are important, you have value, and nobody ever has the right to put their hands on you. And domestic violence is not just physical abuse. It's mental abuse. It's controlling you. There's lots of levels of domestic violence. It does not have to be being beat. But just remember that there are many, many, many ways to get help if you're in that situation. There are anonymous hotlines. I think there's even text hotlines. There's always a way to get help, so don't feel like you're stuck in that situation, because you're not. You can get away. I know it's hard sometimes. It's easier said than done. But don't accept that life, because you're better than that and you deserve better. Well, I hope you all have a good night, day, afternoon, morning. Thank you for listening. It does help to talk about it, and slowly, you know, I'll talk more. I have to be careful for myself and not talk too much, because again, you know, I'm still currently going through therapy for my PTSD to deal with the abuse, and I don't want to set myself off and, you know, get myself upset. But I did want to share and maybe just give some awareness, more or less. I guess I will talk to you guys later, and thank you again. Goodbye, everybody.